Maybe all you know about the financial markets is it's just some place on Wall Street. Well, that's okay. And maybe you think that it's confusing, complicated. It's too much. Well, that's okay too. But remember this. This used to be confusing to you and complicated at one time, and so did this. Well, that was until you learned it. Once you understood the basics, once you understood how it worked, it became very simple to you, common knowledge almost. Well, the market is no different. All you need is to be educated in it. And this will no longer be gibberish. More like telling time. Now, let's talk about the things that go on in the market in terms of what's being traded. Almost anything can be traded. Let's take stocks. Let's start there. Stocks are trading ownership or a piece of a company. Bonds are like giving a loan to a government or a corporation, and in return they pay you interest for that loan. Commodities are things like orange juice, corn, coffee, crude oil, gold, wheat, soybeans, cattle. These things are traded as well. There are markets where these things are traded. Currency is traded as well. Not that we're buying money, but I'll explain to you how that works in a moment. In fact, this happens to be the largest market of them all. It is larger than all of the other markets combined. It's nothing more than the wealth of the world, actually, because we're dealing with the currency of all the nations. But we'll get into that in a moment. There is a market where we trade currency. Let's go back and start with the stocks. Investors buy into a company thinking that this company will grow. They feel that there's a company that shows potential for growth, so they invest in it. So they buy shares of this company. These shares are saying, I own this share or this portion of the company. So as the company grows and earns profit, so will I. So owning shares is like owning a piece of the company. Stock is dealing with ownership. Then we have the bonds. They're like a loan, as mentioned earlier. You're loaning money to a government or to a corporation. They're doing this because they're trying to raise capital. So you loan them the money with this bond. And in return, they give you an interest on that loan that's paid to you. So investors buy bonds because they earn interest. Bonds are also traded because their face values change based on its perceived strength. Strength being that they're good on their bond. They're good on paying their interest. It's sound. They're not going to fall apart and default. So in a sense, investing in bonds is like having or creating fixed income. Commodities, they are industry driven. That's the main reason for the commodities market. For example, if you have a cereal maker who makes cornflakes, they're going to need corn, right? This is what they need to make their cornflakes. So they buy a futures contract of a commodity of corn, say 10,000 bushels. Now, what is a futures contract? Works like this. Let's say it's the month of May or April. Doesn't really matter. And the cereal company knows that they're going to constantly need to buy corn. So they purchase a futures contract of 10,000 bushels of corn for a delivery in the month of June. Thus, a futures contract. They're paying for something now that they know they will receive at the end of June. The farmer, on the other hand, is glad to do this because now he knows he has a buyer for his corn that he can deliver to them in June. Now let's look at the currency market. It's the foreign currency exchange, to be exact. It's driven by international banking and international trade. In the currency market, what's really happening here it's not really ownership. It's really simply the value of a nation's currency. And when you trade the currency, you are buying privilege to its value. In other words, you're not buying lots of currency that you can spend. You are simply buying the right to have privilege to its value. Meaning that, for example, if you had a lot of Swiss francs, a certain cash lot, they come in lots, $1,000 lot, $10,000 lot, $100,000 lot, and so forth. So you have this lot of Swiss francs that you have bought the privilege of its value. At the end of the day, if the demand for the Swiss franc is great enough, the value of the Swiss franc will increase. Meaning that at the end of the day, you have privilege to that increase. Meaning that your account is given an increase at the time that you release that Swiss franc, because you're releasing it at a higher price than what you bought it for. Let's move on. Let's go back a little bit. Let's recap. Let's look at a little history of the market in terms of how it applies to you. Not long ago, access to the markets was exclusive. You had to be on the inside to have up to the date information, up to the minute information. And if you wanted to enter the market to buy or sell, you went through a broker and you paid through the nose. Now, thanks to computer technology and the internet, access is public. Anyone with a computer, internet access, and the right software can access the market. The downside is that many eager, bright-eyed would-be market experts who were led to believe that with a weekend seminar, they too could cash in on the financial markets. They forge ahead only to lose their money, drowning in a sea of frustration and bewilderment, not realizing the harsh reality that the market is a competitive place where professionals who have been properly educated and hold years of experience don't mind taking the newcomer's money, leaving the would-be weekend seminar graduate wondering, how did this happen to me? They didn't teach this in the seminar. They made it sound so easy. What happened? I bought when the line crossed and the light turned green, just like they told me in the seminar, but the price fell anyway and took all my money, only to turn around after that and surge to new highs. Why? The cold, hard truth is because you were not taught to be a market analyst in that weekend seminar. You were taught to use the software they pushed, which, by the way, probably cost you a few $1,000s. This doesn't make you a market analyst. You see, a market analyst could use the same software and make money with it. But a true market analyst does not need that software to make a profit. They might see it as a tool to use, but they're not going to depend on it solely so that they can profit from the market. They use their education, and their education is not that of a weekend seminar. I mean, would you hire an electrician to wire your home whose credentials were that of a weekend seminar? How about a doctor or a lawyer? Then what makes you think that a weekend seminar qualifies anyone to be a market analyst? Weekend seminar graduates are not market analysts. At best, they're amateurs. So if you want to make money in the markets, don't monkey around. Get educated. I mean, people go back to school all the time, spending hundreds, even thousands of dollars in tuition, books, and course material. They stay up wee hours in the night studying, and they'll spend 2 to 3, even 4 years or more before completing their education, only to make an additional maybe $6,000 to $13,000 a year to their salary. This is according to national statistics. So why not give yourself a year or two to educate yourself in the markets with live, hands-on training before risking your money? Okay, let's go into part 2 from the beginning, part 2.